If you've been following us for a while, you know all about Curious Builder Bootcamp and Sonic Camp. Well, we are only a couple months away from Sonic Camp 2.0. It's on March 20th. All the details can be found at curiousbuilder.com. Tickets are selling fast. We hope to see you there.
Now with AI assistants, we're always being recorded on our Zoom calls and when we're meeting with clients or with other, vendors, etc. And so you get this like laundry list of tasks that you said, and, I forget 3/4 of them. It's why you have the note taker there to begin with. But just have somebody parse through them and say like, nope, this isn't really stuff that we were going to do. Are we doing this? Are we not? Like, what's the priority? When is it due?
All right, welcome to the Curious Builder Podcast. I'm Mark Williams, your host. Today is our Losers Are Winners series, and we've got a winner who used to be a loser, Luciano Patiño from Elliano Design. What's up, Luke?
Hi, I'm good.
How do you like that intro?
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, certainly winner today, right? That's what matters.
Today is brutal. The day we're recording, it's like, what, minus 25 below wind chill?
I don't know. Like my car was reading -7 and barely made it out of the driveway before it started warming up. So
yeah, see, it's our. That's why we have such warm personalities here. And look at this color combo you got. You got the glasses, the sweater, the hair. You're rocking.
I'm
buddy.
on brand today. I'm on brand.
You are on brand. Well, let's dive right into it. What is one of the biggest either losses or one of the biggest struggles you've had in your design career?
I'm gonna go back even before design. I think design is my second business, this design business that I started. I've heard from some people with a lot of wisdom around business in general that sometimes your second business is your strongest. And I think I can really relate to that a lot. I was founding partner at a consulting accounting firm, and I ran that with some partners for about 3 years. And it was a wonderful experience. We were successful. We had lots of clients. But I also learned a lot of things that you shouldn't be doing as a business owner at first, like, be picky about your clients. Right? If you have a particular vision of what you want your business to be, right? Be really picky about your clients. We weren't that. And it ended up sort of just, we're all working ragged. Absolutely. I worked a couple times till 7 a.m. preparing for client meetings. Yeah, it was bad. And so the decision to leave, right? To leave something that you started, like I felt like I wasn't allowed to do that. Right? Like, how do I start something and then say, actually, like, I think I'm in the wrong career.
And I'm sure the self-doubt came in and you thought, probably like anybody, you think, well, if I quit or I leave, that's failure.
Absolutely.
And like, so how we look at, quote, failure, especially if we were to look back and talk to our younger self, is much different today than it was at the beginning of your career, I bet.
I absolutely felt like a failure when I left that business, like completely. And in hindsight, when I look back, a couple of things. Number one, like I say, we set out to do a thing that we didn't stay disciplined about, right? And so that was an important lesson, but also, like, if there was a failure, it was a failure of planning. It wasn't like, oh, I'm a failure because I don't work hard enough or I don't care enough, right? Or I'm not smart enough to do it, but it was a failure of planning. And the other thing is that, like, actually it was just a huge gift. I mean, like, just all of the ways that I am a good business owner today are because of lessons I learned during that experience. And I could do it again. If I was unhappy as a designer, I could very easily today say, like, this isn't working and I'm out, and it wouldn't be hard. But at the time, it felt like the world was crashing.
I think so many people have their identity wrapped up in their business. They don't know how to separate it. And you can see the angst or you can just see it. There's so much personal pain. When their business fails, they feel like they're a failure. And I think a big part of what we try to do on this podcast and just in sharing people's stories is separate the two. I'm not saying that we can't have, that our businesses don't have a huge part of us. But if our sole self-worth is through our business, like that means life is going to be super volatile. And I think there's ways around that.
Yeah, I think it's not even just business owners. I think it's work. I mean, I've been in a sort of a group meetings or like where we're doing icebreakers with people and where hosts have said, you're not allowed to talk about what you do for work because it's the first thing we default to, right? When we meet people. And actually, like, we're so much more than that. So yeah, I think we overemphasize what we do for work, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think specifically, I mean, I can't speak to it because I've traveled across the world a little bit, but I'm older now. I haven't done it now with kids as much, but it'd be kind of fun to like sit down and talk to people. Like, what interests you? Like, why are you traveling? Like when you're, I find travel so rejuvenating because it's very whimsical, it's very futuristic, it's very, but also very present because you're not in your normal life, if you will. Unless you're a professional nomad, which would be kind of fun sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think, if you go to a cocktail party, you meet with your neighbors or whatever, if you don't ask somebody what they do, it's a very common starting point.
Yep.
That would actually be interesting to like change that. Like, what would you ask somebody if you didn't say, what did you do?
Yeah, I think it's an easy default to go to work, but just anything. I mean, really, like, are you from around here, right? Why did you move here? And try to steer away from, a lot of people will say they moved here for work, right? So you try to steer away from that, or just to say, I love what you're wearing, right? Like, where is this? Tell me the story of how you got this. Just anything other than starting with what we do for work. Not that I'm not curious about that. Of course, what you do for work actually is a core component of your personality, right? Like, you chose this for a reason, but just to like begin with something else, I think it's just really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Going back to the, the what you perceived as failure at that time, what are some things today that you've learned from that quote air quote failure?
Yeah,
because it's really just, we all know now, it's just a building block to a future success.
Yeah, it really was. Boy, how much time do you have? So coming in with a CEO mindset. Right, starting this business with the idea that like I came in it's not just designer. I'm not just designer, right? Like I have a very particular kind of client that I want to work with. I have a vision for where I want to be in 3 years and 5 years. And so to have more of a really specific idea of where we're going and knowing that I'm the one responsible for maintaining that vision, for planning for that vision, that's probably the number one thing. But there are so many other things. I mean, I will not run an under-resourced business again, right? Like I am relatively new, but I have a design assistant and I have a virtual assistant, and I think we as business owners in general under-resource ourselves and end up doing things that we shouldn't be doing that make us tired when we need to be focused on other things that are much more important, right? So I will not run an under-resourced business again. That means subscriptions to online tools, having the right kind of technology, hiring the right people to do contract work for you, right? Like, so like I try to hand off things whenever I can. Having business coaches, I don't think anybody should be in business without a business coach. Like, I just think we all need people with more wisdom than we have, with more experience than we have, to bounce ideas off of, and for them to hold us to account for the things that we like. Hey, you said you were going to do this 3 months ago, and it sounded really important. Was it? Or why haven't you done it then? And it's like, no, actually, I really need to, like, this week, that's what we're doing. So, I learned so many things. Yeah.
You're in our design collective here in Minnesota, and one of the things you brought up in one of our last collectives last fall was this idea that, like, I think you even just kind of hinted to it, like, I won't start a business or continue a business without a VA. And you were raving about your VA.
Yeah, Clyde.
Clyde is amazing. And from the Philippines, correct, if I recall?
Yeah, he's in Manila.
And, walk us a little bit through that search, like, because I think a lot of people listening to this, people are at different points of their career. Some people are just starting or early on, and there's always this temptation, because I think the key ethos of what you said is begin with the end in mind. Like, you have a very clear vision of where you want to go, which is wonderful. And there's always this struggle of, like, if you have too many people or too much overhead, your rocket fuel burns out before you get into the atmosphere.
That's true.
And but yet at the same time, if you do it all yourself, your rocket's never going to be power enough to get to space. So it's like, how have you navigated that balance? Because if you get too many employees or too many things, then your cash flow becomes a massive issue.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you can't really grow either. How have you navigated that?
Well, I'll say this. So this is, if we go back to like that lesson I learned in the accounting business, right? My partners had that point whenever I said, hey, I need an assistant. And they would say, like, well, we're new, like, we have limited resources, we have to hire accountants, which we did. And so there was always this resistance for me to get an assistant. And my point to them was always, like, I know how my brain works, right? Like, I am not a typical, I'm a very good technical accountant, but like, I'm not a typical accountant. My brain is a creative brain, and it goes in multiple different directions. And so I need someone to help me focus that energy, right? And I know I need this. So when I started the design business, I said I'm not going to limit myself there. Like it's not about investing in like, a huge staff. I don't have a huge staff, but it is about investing in the things that I know I need, right? I know I need this kind of discipline. And so Clyde and I check in every morning. We do my timesheet. We do our accounting every morning. So our accounting's up to date every day, which is a blessing as a business owner, because like the worst
Because you never get behind. You're always current.
Yeah. Trying to find receipts at the end of the month, trying to figure out, I don't know what that charge was, right? It's hard. And I close the month now at the end of the month in an hour, right? So I've always got a view of like what's happening financially. But we do thank you notes, because I do a lot of written thank you notes. So like just there's these little tasks that like I wouldn't sit down to do every morning if I didn't have somebody on a video screen meeting with me, sort of keeping me disciplined about it. And then there's all sorts of other stuff he does when we're not together that are things that I really shouldn't be doing, like calendaring and email. The affordability thing, I was nervous initially to hire somebody from the Philippines because I felt like it was exploitative. Like, here's somebody who, like, just because they live in another part of the world, like, why wouldn't I pay them what I would have to pay somebody here? And if I had to pay a salary here, I wouldn't be able to afford a full-time virtual assistant. I'm just too new. So, but then my business coach said, hey, like, I know people who are doing this and it's really changed how they do their work. And I called some of my Filipino friends and I said, like, is this exploitative? They're like, no. Like, these people need work. It's a good money. This is good money for them. A lot of folks ask for $5 an hour. I pay Clyde 10, and I've got him. I went from 10 hours to 20 to 40. So I sort of ramped up as I needed him more. But honestly, it's just like, even just the loneliness of like being an entrepreneur.
100%.
Right? Like, alone starting, like, even that, like, it's huge.
In my I've been building now for 21 years, and at each step, I was always hesitant to hire the next person. And every single time I did, I felt relaxed. And I've always said, why didn't I do that earlier?
Yeah.
And so I have a very Dr. and Jekyll Hyde personality around scaling, because, my marketing mind and like what I want scales, but like this simple life of like, less is more, and they war with each other. And I don't know if I'll ever find complete balance there. Like, I'm always sort of like, kind of trying to navigate that. But Leah, who who helps me run the collectives and is amazing, she is so overwhelmed that right now we're jointly interviewing after our last collective. We are jointly interviewing someone from the Philippines for an assistant role. And we're working with an agency that helps you sort of find it and that kind of thing. And they'll probably be 70% Leah's assistant. So my assistant has an assistant now.
Yeah.
And then that will allow her to get rid of a lot of those menial tasks. So it allows her to get more into the creative space. And it'll be nice for me that, to have an agenda and just be like, I would love the idea that I would show up on Monday and almost like there's something relaxing of like, this is what you need to do this week. And we would, I assume you set those priorities together, obviously.
We do.
But it's kind of like just the reminder of like, hey, this is what you need to have a successful week. Like, do these 5 things. If you do these 3 extra things, like you're in bonus. Like I don't know if you do this. You kind of gamify it. I gamify almost everything.
I'm not as obsessed with gamification as you are. You really competitive. You're really competitive, and you really love doing also all of your activities and your sports and all that.
When it comes to quality, craftsmanship, and performance, Pella sets the standard. Whether you're building custom homes or designing a timeless space, Pella offers innovative window and door solutions that blend beauty and efficiency. With showrooms and experts around the country, Pella makes it easy to find the perfect fit for your next project and their team to support it. Build with confidence, build with Pella. Visit Pella.com to explore products and connect with your local rep today. For more information, you can listen to episode 1 or listen to episode 109, where we bring on Pella owners and founders at Pella Northland, as well as their innovative team behind the Steady Set innovation.
For me, it is very much about sort of, we do set priorities together, but there's a lot. So, now with AI assistants, we're always being recorded on our Zoom calls and when we're meeting with clients or with other vendors, et cetera. And so you get this like laundry list of tasks that you said, and I forget 3/4 of them. It's why you have the note taker there to begin with. But just have somebody parse through them and say like, nope, this isn't really stuff that we were going to do. And here's the other things that he can ask me about and say, great, like, are we doing this? Are we not? Like, what's the priority? When is it due? There's managing the Monday.com, which is where we do our to-do list work, it's just really great to have somebody kind of project managing you, right? Because our job is to project manage clients and make sure that all of their stuff's done on time, and it's easy to get lost in the client work.
Well, and especially in the field that you're in of creativity, I mean, you need to do. There's no question you have to do the not menial. It's not. I don't like that word actually. You have to do a lot of tasks.
Sure.
But if you don't have that free space to be creative, it's really difficult to be the best designer that you can be if you're taking care of the things that need to be taken care of.
Yeah. No, I talk to young designers or people who are interested in getting into business, even if it's not design, and I say, look, if I design 20% of the time, that's pretty good, right? 20 to 30% of the time, and really what you are as a business owner, and making sure that all that stuff's taken care of. But the more that you can do that, and I have a long-term vision not only of having a virtual assistant, but having a president that runs the company, right? That does all of the accounting and the hiring and all of those things, so that I can focus on the creative work. But my goal is never to get to like being 80% design time. Like it's like get to 40,
right?
Or 45. And it very much is. I totally agree. Creativity is very much about the quiet moments, right? It's like, sometimes you're driving and that's when the best ideas hit you because you're finally not in the middle of 17 conversations.
I 100% agree. I mean, even like, phone isolation, like we actually leave in 6 days from this recording for Kirsch Builder Boot Camp. And one of the big parts of it is taking away everybody's phones, myself included.
Yeah.
And like, it's that free space where a day it's conversations, it's podcasts, it's what, reading a book. Right now we're doing a book series this year called The Smile Tour. And so like this book right here, Buy Back Your Time, is the book in Q1. So as I interview, not our Thursday guests, but on the Monday guests, we'll be using that book as like a filter, and as I read it, it's like I can't even get 2 pages before like how many other days come flooding in. And so, but unless you make that time and prioritize it, where do you get all this creativity from?
Yeah, I got really tired of not reading books, so I started reading before I went to bed every night. And sometimes I'll go 3 pages, but sometimes I'll go an hour. And I finally getting through. I'm really into history, so I'm getting through like all these great history books. And it did feel like for a long time like these devices were just so omnipresent, right? I find that if it's in a drawer or if it's in another room, it's so much easier. It's like, so I'm very intentionally sort of throwing my phone. If I throw my phone in a drawer during the workday, it really, really helps. But yeah, sometimes I'll tell Clyde, like, look, I need 2 hours here. I need uninterrupted time, and I need to just like go, I don't know, like research tile or think about this mood board or whatever it is, just so that I have the space to sort of find that spark, right? Whatever that spark is for that particular client.
What as you look. Well, actually, I want to talk about business coaching. You had mentioned this again, and you had some great insight about business coaches. I believe you worked with in Minneapolis, there was free resources for coaches. Are you still with that coach, or have you?
Yes.
So talk, and I'm sure every city, wherever you're listening to this has it, but it was kind of news to me. I mean, I didn't even think to look there about all the available resources we have that actually don't cost money.
I don't know if every city has it.
I think
we're really lucky. Yeah.
Okay.
So particularly in Hennepin County, there's a program called Elevate Hennepin. If you are in Hennepin County, you run a business in Hennepin County, if you take one thing from today, it's Elevate Hennepin. It's unbelievable. It is. So they have a list of professionals, lawyers, accountants, like I said, business coaches, marketing folks, and you can get 25 free hours per year per consultant. So if you, in fact, I've worked with a marketing consultant last year for 25 hours, and I felt like I needed more help. So I went to a second marketing consultant and got another free 25 hours. And it should be everywhere, because the reality is, again, my first business, we started it because we had a passion for what we were doing. And we're like, we can do this, right? And like, we didn't bring in any of these resources. And now I'm like, how did we even survive, right? Like this, having this to tap into the Elevate Hennepin program has been transformational, absolutely, for my business. And so I do have a business coach through Elevate Hennepin. I went through a business accelerator program that I met through my business coach last year, which was 12 weeks. It cost me $500, which is basically nothing for like the level of coaching and wisdom and intelligence that they brought. We did these sort of simplified business plans over the course of 12 weeks. But like I was in awe every one of those meetings, and I'm constantly in awe when I talk to my coach, where I'm like, that had never occurred to me. And it's like, of course, none of us are born knowing this. Like we need people with more wisdom than we do to like help us figure out, to help us think of new ways to solve problems.
Mm-hmm. I think of, coach, mentor, elder. I mean, they always seem to refer to, we always think somebody older, but sometimes it's just, sometimes I don't know if you're like this, but I just need to get ideas out of my head. I just need to talk to somebody. I mean, honestly, the podcast is, I have 104 guests a year roughly. And so it's like, just having conversations. I mean, I've already taken like 3 notes. I'm like, I'm sure I took those same 3 notes last time. And so it's like, but it's the repetition. It's understanding and getting interested in other people and asking a lot of questions. And I think I've often argued that the most underused word in the English language, but honestly, it's probably all languages, is the word help. Help me. Because I think if you genuinely ask somebody for help, they will help you.
I totally agree, and I agree with you as well. Like most of my coaches have been younger than me; they just have more experience in the business world, and so that's what I've needed. We all need coaches, like we all need mentors, we all need people to bounce ideas off of. I think we all need a Clyde, because we just need that sort of that relationship that you build co-working with someone. Like it's more than twice as much creativity, right? When you have 2 people working together, it's exponential. But the other thing is that I've also like been super, super amazed at the design community and the builder community here in the Twin Cities. I have not had anybody say no to me if I've asked to have coffee with them. Last year for me was really building a foundation with the business that I want. So it was both this accelerator program, but it was also lots of networking. It was like very much about like getting out, meeting people who were in the industry, meeting vendors, going to all of the showrooms, trying to like get my foundation around being a designer here. And I just like, it's been so welcoming. And I expected it to be more competitive, right? More sort of like, I don't have time for you. Not at all. I mean, like just everybody's been super generous, and we all need that. Like we all need each other, right? In order to build a strong ecosystem and to weather the bad days in our business, because they come and go.
I think first of all, I 100% agree with you. But 2, I think when it's authentic and real, and you just ooze authenticity, and like you're a very approachable person, and even like in our collective, one of the things that's kind of like this, I am a parent, but like in this setting, like a business parent, like a proud parent moment, like it was really cool. There was a couple newer designers, and you were just saying like, hey, if you took the role of mentor to a younger designer and said, hey, if you want to meet outside, and like nothing could make me happier. Just I'm basically creating groups where people can get together to share best practices and best ideas, and then seeing people openly invite each other, like, hey, let's get together, let's see how we can help each other. And I truly believe that collaboration over competition is the currency that we live in, and the more that we live it, preach it, and do it, the better not only our community, the better our lives are. Honestly, everyone benefits from it, and so it's a beautiful thing to watch it and watch you even practice it in front of the group. So I suspect that the reason people continue to say yes is twofold. One is Minnesota, we do have a very warm community in general, so that is helpful. But 2, I think that power of the word help is can't be underestimated, and how powerful it is. And then 3, you're a pretty easy person to say yes to. So I think, don't sell yourself short, because I think when you approach people with sincerity, because we've all been approached and it's fine, there's no shame on salesmen. I mean, I'm a shameless salesperson, but like I think as you get older, you realize that you can ask for the sale in it's a nuanced way. And I think how we do something is very, very important, because we all get hit up on LinkedIn's and whatever all the time, and like you can kind of see it. It's kind of phony. It's not real. It's more just self-serving, or you'll say something back, and then the next thing will be like, hey, do this, and you're like, oh, okay, that just turned me completely off, kind of thing. And so seeing people help people for just the sake of helping is really a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you. That's really kind of you to say. Yeah, I mean, it is paying it forward. I mean, I have been given so many blessings over the course of my business career, both in the accounting world and in the design world. If you don't pay that forward, what's the point? Like, I mean, you just have to be able to do that. But there's a couple of other things. Like, first of all, yes, I've had younger designers already ask me to sit down to coffee and be like, I want a business like yours. And I'm like, I don't really have one yet, but okay, but let's talk and let me tell you what I've learned so far. And then also like come along with me. And if you want to come to a client meeting and come to, some projects, so you can see the way that I work, like, let's do it. But the other thing is that, even though I have not been a designer for a long time, I have wisdom to offer. It's not necessarily wisdom of having 30 years of design experience, but not a lot of designers were accountants before.
Agree.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty amazing skill set, honestly.
Yeah. And so I've felt really valuable to people when I've been in your collective meetings and I've been like, hey, you guys, like, let me give you like these 3 things that you have to do with your accounting right now.
Out of curiosity, are you familiar with a DISC assessment, like the red, blue, green, and yellow? So basically,
I have seen it, actually.
Basically, it indicates your personality.
Yes.
But the reason I'm bringing it up is so, like, in the room next to us, Joel, my controller, is all blue-green. So it's very analytical, whatever. And usually the visionary seat, but you're a very rare bird in the, and you probably know this, but it's very rare to be that creative, but also be that analytical. It happens very rarely, but it's a powerful combo. The fact that you have both is obviously to your credit and to your business's credit.
Yeah, I know it's rare. I know it's rare. I'm really grateful for it. I kind of like the only thing what I tell people as a joke, I guess most of the time, is I'm an artist who was raised by engineers, and that's actually what it was, right? Like I was raised in an entire family of engineers and mathematicians, and and I would tell my family, I'm like, you can hang that painting that way, but it doesn't look right. Like, yes, it's centered, it's perfectly centered, but it doesn't look right. So like, and they would not listen to me, and so I think who knows how we got here. But the fact that I can, and like, so right now I'm teaching Clyde accounting, so I don't have to do it every day. And I'm somehow like in awe of my own brain sometimes, where it's like, how do I know that is the solution, that this journal entry with these sort of things is how we fix this problem? And then I can switch over and I can be like, I'm designing this bathroom based on this dress that I saw that I loved, right? And like those things just feel really incongruous. And it's so cool. I mean, it's so cool and it's so fun. And I know it's rare. Yeah, I'm really, really grateful for it. Yeah.
2 last questions. We'll keep this Thursday episode shorter. One was a question from a previous guest and then you get to leave a question for the next guest.
All right.
So this question is for you, and it is, what is the best thing that's ever happened to you in your career?
The best thing that's happened for me in my design career was meeting Anna Notch from Ultimate Interiors, who has been a mentor and a champion of mine since the day. And we're basically like inseparable now. Like we hang out a lot, and she's even like watched my dogs, right? But that relationship is priceless, right? To have a designer of 30 years who's been willing to take you under their wing, and I mean, I have so many noob questions, right? And so I just have somebody. I have like this text message thread that I can always go to and say like, hey, like this bathroom, floor is too thick. Like, what do we do? Know? So that's been the biggest gift of my design career for sure. And a question that I would leave for the next guest. I remember this moment before I was a designer when I was remodeling my house, which is kind of how I got into all this, where I walked into my house after some walls had been taken down and we had beamed this space, and I almost started crying because I was like, oh, this vision that I had was right? Like this, I wasn't sure until I saw this, but in this moment, I just felt like that chill. So what's a moment in your career where like you've had that chill, where something has come together and confirmed, right, that something that you weren't sure about was good?
I'm going to call it the chill of confirmation.
The chill of confirmation. There you go.
I like iterations. Thanks for coming on the podcast. We'll have your everything in the show notes. If you're interested, reach out to Luciano. You can check him out on Elliano Design. And have a great week. Stay warm.
Bye-bye, folks.
Thanks for tuning in to the Curious Builder podcast. If you like this episode, do us a favor. Share it with 3 other business owners. The best way that we can spread what we're doing is by word of mouth, and with your help, we can continue to help other curious builders expand their business. Please share it with your friends, like and review online, and thanks again for tuning in.